Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. How are you?
Morning, Rory.
Morning.
I'm going to just draw attention immediately to your T-shirt.
Yes. The mic.
Congratulations.
Oh,
Congratulations, Arsenal. Commiserations, Chelsea.
yeah.
FA Cup final. That was a bit odd. I saw bits of it, but it was a bit odd. I actually tried to call Rory. Then I got a message watching the FA Cup final, so I understood. So I apologise. I hadn't. The FA Cup final's on. Sorry. Congratulations. Nods to Arsenal there. My dad was a Gooner, so he'll be very happy.
Mighty Gooners.
Exactly. It's not a pleasant name, that Gooners, but there we go. Gunners, I get, but anyway. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Refresh Church live stream on a Sunday morning. You are very welcome. It's very lovely to have you. Refresh Church, we are based in a little town called Molesey. I'm not going to say east or west. It's not necessary, but east and west Molesey, which is near Hampton Court Palace. So we're borders of Surrey and London. And we are, we're a small little church. I'd call us evangelical church. We are members of the Pioneer Network and the Evangelical Alliance. So you are very welcome to join us. This is our little slice of Sunday mornings as we are all stuck, basically. And we're being inventive and finding new ways to keep in contact with each other. So good morning, church. If you're out there, keep those comments coming in. If anyone is new to Refresh Church, visiting us for the first time, you're very welcome, as I say. And down below are links to all our social media. So our Facebook page, Instagram, and to visit our website. So you can click on those links at any time to find out a little bit more of us, about us, I should say, and the weird and wonderful bunch that we are.
Yeah.
Jesus, and full of faith and fun, hopefully, bringing you some joy on this Sunday morning. Now, Rory Densham-Brown, my beautiful co-host.
Hello.
How has your week been, Rory?
It's been a bit of a mixed week, to be completely honest. Unfortunately, we had our car broken into on Thursday night. Somebody used one of these key hacking apps and broke into the car. Fortunately, the car's still there.
Key hacking app.
Yeah, so basically, your keys, your wireless key, it gives off a signal to the car, and there's an app that can intercept that signal and unlock the car. And they broke into ours and our neighbour's car. Unfortunately, our neighbour heard his golf clubs rattling and managed to shout at the man. And he ran away, and I ran downstairs in nothing but my pants, which was horrendous for everyone involved, I'm sure.
Deterrent, definitely deterrent.
Yeah, but they managed to steal some bits from us, but nothing from our neighbour. They stole Hannah's bank cards, which we've had sorted and replaced, some jewellery of hers, and some of Abel's clothes, which, to be honest, is the worst part, because why would you steal a little boy's clothes? But then I've had
broken into a car. I think it's just grab. They just grab, don't they?
Yeah, it was terrible. But then some positivity and some light yesterday with Arsenal winning the FA Cup, which, let's be fair, it's not often I get to wear this shirt with a bit of pride. So,
Mind you, 14 times they've won it. They seem to do really well.
Yeah. We're pretty good at the FA Cup. It's everything else we're rubbish at.
Controversial.
Well, no, probably not. Ask most Arsenal fans.
I know.
I just want to draw attention to your husband, if I may, for a second. That guy is super keen. Like, he sent a hello and good morning, everyone, at 10:28, which is before we'd even put the bouncing ball up. So, dedication, Mr. Gregory. Dedication indeed.
He's my quality control.
Yes, and doing a wonderful job as well.
No, he's mind you, the whole house is on standby. I think everyone's, because of the sometimes we have a few issues with internet on a Sunday morning, and I literally go, right, 10:30, it's mine. Get off your devices. So they are actually on their devices, but watching this. So yes, he is super keen. And Mary Stewart, good morning to you. Yes, on this beautiful sunny morning. Phil Moore, good morning. Sharon, mother. I've guessed this thing. It says wash hands.
Yeah, it's the clap hands emoji, isn't it?
She's pressed the emoji on the phone or whatever it is watching on, and it prints out wash hands.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times.
It's odd, isn't it? I understand now what you mean. I was thinking, why does she keep saying wash hands?
First time I saw it was the first week, and Phil Moore put it up. And I thought he was giving us some kind of instruction that we needed to tell everyone to wash their hands.
As did I.
But I've now cottoned on that it is not that at all.
No.
So
for some reason, the clappy emoji is wash hands, but it prints it out. It puts it in text, doesn't it? Very, very strange. So that explains it. I was like, why does she keep saying wash hands? But yes, wash your hands. Yes, of course.
Wash your hands.
Morning, Lynn. Morning, Martin. Morning, Ellie. I know who you are now. Good morning, Ellie Lydiard. Very lovely to see you. Teresa, Guy, and Ali. Welcome to the madness.
Yeah.
Morning, Mark, smiley face, and Judith. Good morning to you.
Is it Judith or is it Tony? It doesn't say it's Tony, so it might be Judith.
I think it's Judith.
Response there, but good morning.
I know. I have to say, right. So our week started off a bit strange with Monday night trip to the vet. Dog has an abscess on his bottom, and there's only one thing that can happen with abscesses, or the thing you want to happen with abscesses, and it happened during the night, and it wasn't pleasant in the morning. So, yes, a few trips to the vets, and he's conehead. It's never good because our legs are battered on but anyway, he's on the mend, hopefully. Good morning, Abel. Morning, Abel.
Hello.
Morning.
Wave.
Good morning. I think is Abel officially the youngest member of our church. I think he is.
Yeah.
Morning. Hi.
Say morning.
Sweetheart. We can hear you. Right, I'm going to not be distracted again.
Sorry.
So, I want to give a big shout out to Mary Stewart, because Mary Stewart and I spent about 3.5 hours doing risk assessments on Friday, which I think hit 34 degrees. Yes, we had air conditioning and refresh, but these other things we could have done. And I know Mary's going in with Kate next week to do the office risk assessment. So a big shout out to Mary, because that's not fun. And our brains were addled by the end of it. So in relation to the fact that we are trying to get all our documentation and all the things we need in place to possibly allow Refresh to be used, with a Refresh Centre, which is in Molesey, which is our kind of home, to be used in September going forward. It's not big enough for us to congregate there at the moment. So we're hoping, with all various different things in place, and I've been ordering, paper towels. I've been busy with my masking tape, chevron, going this way, out this way, spacing everything out. Hopefully in preparation that we can possibly meet in small groups from September. So that's a little bit of news going forward, but lots of very boring stuff to do in the meantime. Of course, it could all change.
Yeah.
Anyway, so FA Cup, I've done that. Look, I've written my notes down there. Well done, Liverpool. And a shout out to our very own Mark Blythe.
Yeah, TV celebrity. Gone from internet celebrity to TV celebrity in the space of a week. Respect.
Prime time TV star on the One Show. Mark Blythe, we salute you. A couple of us did know, and I was slightly paranoid last week. For those of you that are watching us, Mark Blythe is he's a sports chaplain, but his ministry is sports, and we met him briefly last week. Mm-hmm. He was honoured by the One Show. It's called the One Big Thank You, and the walking football teams that he manages wanted to say a big thank you to him. So he had a massive surprise visit to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea again, but Chelsea will want, Chelsea again. But it was to Stamford Bridge, and he had to walk on the pitch on his own. It's catch up on iPlayer. It's the One Big Thank You, and it was Thursday at 7 o'clock. It's huge. It was awesome. Massive. It was just poor little Mark walking onto the pitch with his lockdown hair.
Yeah.
He almost put it in a ponytail. But yes, that was suitably deserved and absolute star, I have to say. Someone's fire alarm's going off.
No, I got a text message. For some reason, it comes through with on my computer and pings.
Never mind.
Really annoying.
So big shout out to Mark, deserved, and the timing was perfect because he starred on Sunday and he starred on primetime telly on Tuesday.
Or a point to one other thing about Mark Blythe's. Wonderful, great big thank you. Obviously, we saw a few members of the church family in it, but there's one person who appears on TV far too often, and that's your husband. Like,
oh, I know, he managed to get in again
all the time. I think the BBC really like him because he's on that and Homes Under the Hammer. He's a proper celebrity. So yeah, it's good.
Yes, Mark managed to make the cut. I was literally on my knees in front of the telly filming it.
Yeah.
No one speak, and I'm like, oh, he's made it again. And can we have a shout out to the fabulous Tom Kelly?
Yeah.
Tom Kelly can't get. He's Judith one week, and then he's Tom the next week. Our very own Tony Kelly made the cut as well, but in disguise as Tom Kelly.
Yeah, Tom Kelly.
But that was beautiful and fitting, and wow, what a great, it's just fantastic. What a lovely thing, and I'm glad they're doing it. Yes. So I am away next. Well, I'm not away next week. I'm going Monday to Friday to Devon, and we cannot wait. With the dog that's got a cone on, but we'll get there. We're hoping it can come off, but these trips test us. So on to this morning. We are
sorry about my
no
having his shoes put on.
Squeeze away. Brings yes. I think he knows we're on live and he's singing us a lovely song.
He's here.
Yes.
He's come back.
Yes. Good morning, Abel.
I've just seen a message from Judith saying Tom's not here this morning. He fell off his bike and is in A&E.
Oh no.
Well, sending
him look. Sorry, I can flag it up there. I know most people can see it.
Lots of
Tom Kelly. Oh no. What I don't know what to say.
No.
But if he's in A&E and he's watching us live, Tom, we'll pray. We're going to include you in our prayers later and hope that it's all good and you're all well. Sorry to hear that. And Colin is morning all from Home Park Golf Course. Good morning. So someone's playing golf right now. Good morning, Colin White. Lovely to see you. So, as I was saying, on to this morning. This morning, we have got our beautiful, very own Cleide Burgess with a talk she has prepared for us this morning. She will be joining us in a little while. But first, I've got a little surprise.
Really?
Yay!
Oh.
Hello.
Rachel Vesey. Sorry, Rachel
Hello.
Blake. Nee Vesey. A little surprise. Now, speaking of stars of TV, stars of BBC TV, our very own Rachel. Oh, well, you know that. I'll explain in a second. But Rachel, star of Songs of Praise, not last Sunday, not last week, the week before.
Wow.
And I got an idea and thought,
yes, slightly bizarre experience.
Was it very bizarre? And let me introduce Rachel. Rachel she did a course called DNA, and we were the church. You can go out from your own church and you go and serve as part of your training for a good year. You go and serve another church in whatever capacity they need you to do. And you can extend it by another year. And Rachel, how long were you with us?
Yeah, and I kept staying, didn't I? So I stayed for 6 years with you guys in Molesey. So yes, it was brilliant. And I love you all lots and miss you all. So it's lovely to join you for your worship today and say hello. So,
it's lovely to have you. There's a little bit of a delay. We know there's often a delay, so we just be patient, and I'll shut up occasionally so you can answer. So apologies. So Rachel, just a quick question. It's so lovely to see you. Now you live in Derbyshire. So how has life changed since you left us?
Well, it's changed quite a lot because a couple of years after moving, I married Steve, and quite a few of you joined us for our wedding, which was lovely. And since then, we've had Simeon and Lydia. So I have a 3.5-year-old and a one. Well, she's nearly two in September, little Lydia. So life's fairly busy. I did a MA for a year, and then I got a job in Eyam Parish Church, which, if you don't know much about Derbyshire, Eyam is the plague village. That's what it's known as. Because the plague came from London to Eyam in 1665. So, and they quarantined themselves, locked themselves down, and that meant that it didn't spread to other parts of Derbyshire. So it's been slightly bizarre being in a pandemic in a place where, where plague has been before and really impacted the community, because a huge number of the village died, but they also stopped other people dying. So being in lockdown in Eyam was quite interesting experience. So yeah, that's where I am now. So I work for the church. There's only one church, only in the village, as the youth minister.
Amazing.
So that was we could see on Songs of Praise. It's just chocolate box, beautiful, just beautiful. It's like in a little hamlet. It's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Eyam, yes, I did call it Eyam, but it's Eyam, as I understand. Beautiful part of the world. And you explained that part of your work there is as youth minister. So, Mike, another question I have is, how has the pandemic affected some of the youth there? Have you what in your capacity as youth minister, has it affected them, or has it been all right?
Yeah. I mean, it was very strange because we had a youth weekend away planned for the 13th to the 15th of March. And so the couple of weeks before it, especially that 1 week before it, we were really anxious. And I have to say, I never experienced such anxiety. And part of it was spiritual, I think, attack, but also just the responsibility for young people and feeling really anxious about it. But we just prayed and just felt, well, let's go ahead. They haven't closed schools. Let's go ahead. So we did our youth weekend away, and we took 33 young people away, which was really amazing. And we had 33 young people, 13 young people gave their lives to Jesus, had this fantastic weekend, came home on Sunday, and then Monday, schools are locked down, getting closed on Friday. And you're like, oh my goodness, what do we do now? How do we, continue our ministry with them? But God's been really amazing in that. Like some of the young people who came on our youth weekend away didn't live in our village, but lived in a 25-minute away village. So because of the internet, we could actually have our youth groups online and actually disciple some of those young people who made commitments much better than we would have been able to do if we'd only seen them in school, or and now and again if their grandparents brought them to church or whatever. So I think it's been tough for young people. The young people I've worked with have been very anxious and stressed and fearful, and freaked out about wearing masks. That's like a big one for them. Like, they find that really hard. So it has been challenging, but it's also had opportunities to disciple some that we might not have. So it's I really miss seeing people in person now, and I think the young people are keen to get back, and I'm hoping and praying we can, because we have quite a nice big space. But then I'm also, how do I keep visiting those who are now in different places, in villages 25 minutes away? So we just have to see and pray. I'm on holiday now, but August is going to be praying and seeing what God says and working out how do we mix and match some of this in person and some online to make sure we keep sharing Jesus' love and encouraging them in their faith. So so that was our kind of amazing but crazy lockdown time.
I miss you. Just listening to you talking, it's like, because we worked together very closely for a long period of time, and your energy and just I do miss you, Rach, without it turning into a personal kind of but I do miss the laughs and the giggles and the chocolate and the mysteries of pens going missing, and you name it, we put the worlds to rights, and we did lots of praying, didn't we, in the office? Let's just pray. Just pray. Exactly. Have you found, because your vicar, Kate, Reverend, whatever, looks pretty cool guy. How has your faith how has it affected you? You know, do you think it's improved? Do you think it's got deeper? Is it going a slightly different direction during lockdown, during this kind of starvation of being a gathered church?
You say did you say my faith personally or as church?
Yes.
Or,
yes. Your faith, has it deepened in a slightly different way? You know, when I say has it been affected, it has been affected, because gathered church is a I miss it, like you say, I miss the physicality. So what do you think you've done, or what have you been able to do to kind of just keep that hope, you know, keep that hope in Jesus, you know?
Yeah, I think a mixture of things. I think for all of us, it has just been like, sometimes you think, oh, this is so hard. And I sit and watch an online service with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So it's a bit like being in church, really, when they're all over the place and you're running around and like trying to get, oh, join in with this bit. And then, oh, well, let's do some colouring in this bit. And it is a bit like normal, really. That is what church is, except for I normally get to go out with the teenagers for a bit and have a chat and a pray with them. So I miss doing that. But I think we found different things. You know, we have tried to engage as family and to actually sit and join in together. And we found there was a Worship for Everyone did a couple called Nick and Becky Drake did something called Family at 4 or twice a week to begin with in lockdown. And that was really our spiritual food. It was amazing, like to sit and worship together with that. And we've done different bits with church. We did a Family at 4 thing. I think for me, I've tried, you know, into my Bible more, which I always do read daily, but like really you're looking, aren't you, like, God, I need you to speak to me, because it's hard and it's tough. So, and Steve and I have prayed together more, probably because, I mean, I know some people have more time in lockdown. We didn't feel like we got time in lockdown because we had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old with us from 6 till 7, like, you know, awake and at it. So then get them to bed at 7 and then like, whew, but then still have things do, because you couldn't do anything in the day. So I didn't feel like I had more time, but just trying to make sure that that when you do have those times, just to meet with God. And I mean, we've been really blessed to be able to walk across fields, like you say, we're on the edge of these fields and farming land. We've been able to walk out and just, you know, breathe and think, oh, thank you, God, that you're here. And that kind of takes you away from the news and taking time to turn the social media and the news off and just be like, well, God, you're still God, and acknowledge that, I think has been really helpful to do, because it's otherwise you feel it rising, don't you, the anxiety, and it's like saying, no, I'm going to take captive every thought and then bring it to Jesus. So I think like
amen, Rachel, amen.
I think try to just keep our eye on him.
That's so true. I think we've all done that. We've all got to the point where it was, okay, I have to stop watching the updates. I have to stop. Beautiful. I like you say, beautifully put, and I couldn't agree more. So I think that. Go Rory.
Rachel, I feel I might know the answer myself. You don't know this, but I'm a youth worker. But what's been some of the biggest challenges for the young people you've been working with over this time? Because we hear a lot about impact on mental health, not going to school, things like that. But for you, what have you found in your village has been the biggest impact on the kids you're working with?
I think a lot of them are concerned about mental health, anxiety. We've had a few with issues with internet safety that I felt concerned about, because there's so much more on their screens and things, and just not always fielding what's good and what's not good, and what's safe and not safe. And anxiety, some of them struggling with sleep, those kind of issues, and just missing friends. Quite a few quite anxious about their exams and about school, and just saying, I can't do in maths. And you think, actually, if you get stuck on a bit of maths, you can't go any further, can you? Even if you get sent a worksheet, if you didn't understand the bit before, you're stuck. So I think it's been those kind of issues, and fear, just scared about what the future holds. So lots of challenges for young people, aren't there? And then just actually some of our young people have been more cautious than their parents, telling them, oh, you've got to social distance and you're not doing that properly. So but then all the young people from where we live, they all have to go to school on the bus, because that's the only way to get there, because it's 20 minutes away. It's in Hope, their school. It's in Hope Village. So they've all got to get on the bus. I know, it's good, isn't it? I live in the Hope Valley. That's our bit of so to hold to that. Yeah, but yeah, so then buses have been stressful, like they don't want to go on the bus. And then when they get to sixth form, there isn't a sixth form in Hope, they have to go to Sheffield. So then they're like, but I've got to wear a mask and all of that. So it's all just big changes, isn't it? And not being able to do the things you normally do. So yeah.
Yeah, very
One
difficult.
more question for you before Shelley says, I think she's about to say goodbye, but is there anything that we as a church can pray for you for at this time? Because, you know, I know that lots of members of the church are here, and I'm sure they'd love to pray for you guys if there's anything that you have.
I think praying for wisdom. I just feel like it's trying to work out what's next. And even things we were hoping, maybe we were just exploring what's next as church, but it feels different with you're going to have to wear a mask to worship. That makes you feel different about that. So I suppose for church, and I guess I'll be praying that for you guys as well, as wisdom as we open up and, you know, taking the right. And I suppose for us as family, just, that we would keep hearing God's voice. We feel like God's really guided us for every step, so it would just be good for God to keep speaking to us as a family, and for Simeon and Lydia as they settle back into childcare. Simeon managed to go back to preschool, but Lydia we decided not to, because she was only going to go for a couple of weeks and then be summer holiday. So just that they both settle, and Simeon's and Lydia both enjoy. Simeon loves praying, and just that they would grow up knowing Jesus for themselves as well. It's what you want for your children, isn't it? So
Awesome. Thank you.
I could chat to you for hours, but obviously you have to get on with the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us. Although there's so many things that aren't good about this situation, this is definitely one of the good things. It doesn't matter where we are, we can chat. So it's sort of, you know, we wouldn't ordinarily be able to do this. So huge love to you. Thank you so much for joining us, Rachel, and love to Steve and to your mum and everyone and the kids, and take care, and we will be praying for you.
Bless you. Take care.
Beautiful lady. Bye-bye.
Thank you for inviting me, and lovely to see you. Thank you for your comments as well that I saw Shelley popping up, so that's really lovely. So,
I didn't want to put you off, but I thought, well, you have to see some of these.
Yeah. Oh, take care.
Bye-bye, beautiful.
I'll have
Bye-bye.
it later and read it through, so thank you.
Bye-bye, lovely.
Take care. Wow, that was nice.
Lovely, Rach. I know. Again, I just thought to myself, gosh, actually, again, not focusing on the negative, focusing on the positive things that we can do in this situation. And there's lots of people all over the place that we wouldn't ordinarily, it would take years to try and organise. Boom.
Yeah.
You can do it by the press of a button.
Before we go on to the wonderful Cleide, there's just a couple of things I wanted to say with people, just so that people could cotton on to a few things. I don't know how many of you are aware, but obviously there is no New Wine this year. But New Wine are doing lots of free resources online, and all of their days are live. So if anyone wants to watch any of the New Wine stuff, you can see it at breaksout.new-wine.org, and they've got their whole program on there that people can watch for free, which is really good. So that'll hopefully help build some people up at this time. And again, it's all about just being able to access stuff that sometimes we wouldn't be able to, and I think, you know, it's really good to be able to sort of push those things out to people. So
there's some really good quality stuff out there, actually, because a lot of people's energies, well, they've got loads of, you know, they're not able to do it any other way. So what they are producing is really good content, really quality content, impact. Yeah. Okay, right. Bless her. She's been in the wings for ages.
I know.
Let's bring on Cleide.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Stunning.
Thank you. So do you.
And peaceful and rested and
well,
loveliness.
If I could show the heart, you wouldn't think so.
I
should do it like this, but yes, peaceful.
I'm loving your flowers. This just looks a very balanced and peaceful room you found yourself.
That's what I mean. The whole thing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful to see you. So I'm going to disappear now, and I will leave Chloe.
Cleide?
No, it was kind of Cleide and Rory together. Rory. The other two to have a chat. So see you very soon, everybody.
Bless you. Morning, Cleide. It's
Morning,
good
Rory.
with us. Thank you for being brave enough to brave the online world and share with us. I think probably most people know who you are, but do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you come from, what you do, that kind of thing?
Okay, well, I am Cleide. I come originally from Brazil. I never know what people is asking when they ask me where you come from, but originally from Brazil, but I am more from Mosey now. I've lived in Mosey for longer than I lived in Brazil. So yes, and I come to Refresh for ever since I've moved here. So that's at least 25 years. And what I do, I work as a counselor and a coach, a happiness coach. And today I'm here being brave indeed, because this is not something that I ever believed I would have the courage to do. It's something that I've had in my heart. So I'm taking this opportunity to step out, but still feeling quite nervous. But it is really a real joy and privilege to step out and bring this word that's in my heart. And I believe it's for all of us. So hopefully I'll be able to deliver it, be able to remain calm enough to remember what I want to bring.
Bless you. Well, I'm sure you're going to be absolutely amazing. And, it's always good talking to you, Cleide, because you're so full of joy and happiness. So it's good that you're a happiness coach, because it makes perfect sense. But let me just pray for you before you begin, and then I'll let you go and let you talk about what you've got on your heart. So, Lord, I just ask that you would be with Cleide this morning and calm her heart, help her to know your peace upon her at this time, and help her to radiate the joy that she has within her heart. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rory.
Over to you, my dear.
Thank you. So, Shelley, if I could please have my slide, that would be very helpful. Great. So, yes, this is the verse that I brought for us today. It says, I have come to give you life in its fullness until you were overflow. And this is very interesting, because when I was thinking about what I could bring today, this verse was immediately, it jumped out of my heart, because this is the verse that conquered my heart towards God. And it has been key in my walk with Jesus ever since. First, it was this life part. I was about 15 years old, and I was invited to a Christian meeting, which I thought at the time was a really strange thing, because during that time, for me, church was something that I only went for, for a need, or when my mother and grandmother would kind of force us to go. It was never something that I would go for a choice. So I went into this church, and I couldn't believe it was a group of friends around my age. But when I went there and what I saw, the way that they had that life, the way that they had joy and peace, was something that I had never seen before. And they told me that life, I could have that life, that we would have that kind of joy and that kind of life when we open our hearts to Jesus. So I didn't even know then what it meant, but I certainly on that day, on that meeting, I opened my heart and I never looked back. And what I experienced in that moment, the sense of joy, the sense of peace, was like something that I had never seen, I've never experienced, and my life was completely changed. If any of you have experienced that, there was a day when you opened your heart and you experienced that, you would know what I'm talking about. So the next couple of years, I've just lived in this bliss of joy and trying to read the Bible. I just couldn't get enough to know about what Jesus had done for us, and prayer and worship. And I used to just love going to church. My mom and my family at the time thought that I had been brainwashed, because they just couldn't believe the change that happened in me. So I just couldn't get enough of that word. And of all that sense of joy. I remember at some point looking at the stars and thinking, what is this feeling in my heart? What is that I'm feeling? Am I in love? And I was indeed, one of these young people was my boyfriend at the time. And yes, I was in love, but that feeling that I had in my heart was different. It was more, it was a different kind of love, was a different kind of experience. So I carried on like that until a couple of years later, a series of difficult events in my life. And at first, the first thing, my boyfriend, this Christian guy, broke up with me. And I just couldn't believe, I couldn't understand how that was possible, because we'd made plans, we imagined, and I thought that life, that joy meant that life was going to be that constant bliss the whole time. So I didn't really understand. It didn't. I could not comprehend what was going on. So not only and I was praying, and I thought that. That prayer, I would always have everything that I asked for and I wanted, and I did not understand. So as a way to get away from that pain, I was hurting so much, and I always had a dream of traveling. So I went to America to study for 1 year. And whilst I was there, my life was slowly getting building up again, and getting happy again, and meeting with young people, and then things continue to develop. My younger brother, being some of you have met him, he was a promising musician. So he was just getting to be known, and he was playing in a band and singing in a band, and he was quite popular and becoming known in our community. So he had an accident and broke his back and his neck and became completely paralyzed. And for him, his life was, destroyed, because his dream was to be a musician, and he couldn't use his fingers anymore. So, and he used to play the guitar and play the keyboard. So his life was completely transformed as well. And again, I could not understand why God wouldn't heal him. So I came back from America to be with them. And during that time, my father had a nerves breakdown. So it just went from one thing to the other. And in a period of about 6 months, all of that joy and all of that sense of bliss had gone, because I could not understand what was going on. You see, at that time, I didn't really know that God is working in all things. In all things, He's working out for our good. But when I look back now, I can see that moment, again, this verse came to me. And I remembered that God has died. My friend had told me at that time that God had died, that Jesus had died, so that I could live fully, so that I could have that full life, that full joy, that full peace. So I kind of cried out to God on that day, that moment. And I remembered, I said, because previous to that, I've been, desperate, crying and praying and thinking, why God, why wouldn't you just answer my prayers? Why wouldn't you just, give me the things that I desire? But on that moment, I cried out and I said to God, God, I open my heart to you again. I give you my heart again. And I don't care now how my life will develop, what is going to happen. But I really want that sense of peace. I really want that sense of joy that only you can give, that you have died so that I could have that. And that's the second time that verse was so significant in my life, because until I remember that, until I cried out in that way, I've been fighting. But that moment, I've been, saying to God, I want this. If only this happened, I will be happy. If only that happened, I will be happy. But I didn't realize that God's ways is so much higher than our ways. I didn't realize that God had so much more than I could imagine and dream and ask for. But that moment when I released my own plans and I said to God, okay, God, I remember my prayer was something like this. I said, okay, God, I don't care what you do. Another thing that happened during this time of difficulties, when my father had a nervous breakdown, we lost all the things. Financially, it was, he went bankrupt, and we were just really unhappy, and lots of things happening. I desperately wanted to go back to America, because at least there I had my friends. I was having a different kind of life. But to go to America, when you're a Brazilian, you need a visa, and my visa was denied. So to me, like nothing of the things that I dreamed, it was happening. So on that prayer, I said to God, I don't care where you send to me. I don't care if I go to America. I don't care if I go to Bolivia. Bolivia in those days, from a Brazilian, was like the pits. Probably not anymore, but at that time, so it meant if I went to Bolivia, it meant that, my life would be even worse, in terms of the things that I believed were good for me. So on that release prayer, when I gave it to God, I said, I don't care where I will go to. I don't care what will be in my life. But the only thing that I ask God, that I will have that joy, that I will have that peace. And that's the way I want to live. So I released all my plans to God. And for the first time in a long time, I slept all through the night. And there was like a peaceful sleep. And I remember I woke up in the morning with that life again, that excitement again. And it was so strong in me that I couldn't wait for my mom to wake up. And I don't know where it came from. Actually, I do now. But at that time, I woke up with that really great sense, that I was going to come to England, that I ought to come to England. And I, there was nothing in England. I didn't have any perspective here, but I felt that God was calling me, which was really, really interesting. So I woke my mom up very early in the morning and said, Mom, I know I have decided I'm not going to go to America anymore. I'm going to go to England. And my mom said, what? But she wanted to support me, my mom and dad. And a week later, I was on the airplane coming to England. And again, there was a series of things which, unfortunately, because of time, I don't have time to go through the details. But there was something really, really important about that trip, because on that flight to London, I met a family of Brazilians who were key into what's going to happen after that, to my future. But so they invited me to a party in their house, which I went on. On that party, I met a Brazilian cabin crew for British Airways, who told me that BA was hiring Brazilians to be cabin crew. And when he told me that, it was again, my heart leaped, and it was like, this is what this is what I have been holding for you. So and I thought, well, but how could I do that? But that seemed like something that would be so amazing for me. So the really interesting thing was, when I came to the UK, I didn't have any definite plan. So I bought a ticket valid for 1 month. And when I came to the UK, I only had enough money to pay for accommodation for 1 month and to pay for school for 1 month. So my decision was going to was going to depend on what happened. But the interesting thing was that my return ticket, was booked and booked for the day that I would arrive in Brazil for the interview. The one day that BA was interviewing for cabin crew in Rio de Janeiro. I had never been to Rio, but that's where my ticket was booked to. So to cut a long story short, because we don't have time, I got on the flight. I flew all the way back to Rio. And that meant that if I didn't get that job, I would not have money to come back to England again. Anyway, I went to the interview. I got the job, and then a week later, I was back in the UK, all paid for, staying in a really nice hotel. Got my training for BA. Now, talking about being a cabin crew today, it's not a great thing. It's not a big deal. But for me, 30 years ago, for a child of the place where I was born, many of my friends had never even ever got on an airplane. So for someone to be paid to travel, that was like film star kind of thing, for all my friends and for myself as well, But what happened after that? A series of things that, as I look back, I can see that God had it all planned for me, and it was just so amazing because so I got the job, and on my second trip I met my husband, and then you know, my life just went from a dream, really, really a dream. And I remember before the age of 25, I remember I had everything that I had dreamed, everything beyond what I had dreamed for. But I remember again being really grateful, being, you know, totally, my heart was so full of gratitude. I recognized that all those things, all good things, come from God. But there was still a sense of dissatisfaction in my heart. And I knew that there's something was missing, and I just couldn't. I was aware of all of that, but there was that ache and that pain, that I wanted something else. And Solomon, King Solomon, talks about that ache, that experience of dissatisfaction. And in fact, you know, he was one of the greatest king. He had all the riches in the world. He was famous, but he talks about that dissatisfaction, and he writes in the book of Ecclesiastes, and he says pleasures are meaningless because we can only find fulfillment in God. You see, God designed us. He puts in our brain something that we would never be satisfied. In our DNA, in our spiritual DNA, there is a need that can only be satisfied by God. And that sense of fulfillment can only come in relationship with Him. Not that there is anything wrong with desiring the physical things, of course not. Our spirit is inside of our body, and it's normal to feel excitement when we, you know, when we have material things, when we have things of the flesh, and it is normal to feel disappointment when these things are not there. But we cannot confuse that's real satisfaction. What really is important, what will really fulfill our heart, can only come from God. You see, if I can have my second slide, hopefully. Oh, there it is. You see, when we desire material things, whether it's an exciting holiday, whether it's a peaceful life, whether it's having everything we want, what we need to know that when we desire pleasures, what we truly want is joy, right? And when we long for easy circumstances and comfort, what we really crave is peace and rest in our soul. God's joy transcends all understanding, and His peace we cannot find in the things of this world. C.S. Lewis, he writes in his autobiography, he talks about this kind of joy, and he tells us that this kind of joy is an other world kind of joy. It can never be fulfilled by our modern understanding. This kind of joy is not a kind of joy that can be satisfied. It's an unsatisfied desire. This desire is a deep longing and a hunger for God. And we will never find that in the things of on material things, in the things of this world. He later on in his biography, he talks about this deep longing for God was what led him to know Christ, to know Christ, because this is not an intellectual kind of knowledge of God, but this relationship, this relational God. He tells us that this true joy is that an ache that can only be satisfied by God. He tells us of this true joy is that ache beyond, that can only be satisfied by things beyond of this world. And it's the Holy Spirit working in us, reminding us that these moments of joy, just like that day when I looked in the sky and I said, what kind of feeling is that? So every time once you've known that kind of joy, you can be deeply touched. When you are in nature, when you find those moments when your spirit touches the Holy Spirit. And C.S. Lewis also talks about this unsatisfied desire. I think I have a slide for that, which is here, which I love that he says, if I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. If none of my earthly pleasure satisfies it, that does not prove that the universe is a fraud. Probably earthly pleasures were never meant to satisfy, but only to arouse it, to suggest the real thing. Isn't that beautiful? So, when we do find that kind of joy, when we do encounter that deep level, that when our heart touches God's heart, we then can cope with anything. We then, when I look back now, not only and that those two experiences that I brought as an example, but throughout my life, when I was reflecting of this talk this morning, I looked through my life and I saw how many times in real difficult moments or in real joyful moments, when I found those moments when my heart touches God's heart, we can feel that that our joy and our sense of peace can overcome any situation. And when I was thinking about, as we come out of lockdown and many of us are struggling with difficult moments, many of us are going through real difficult times, but if we remember that God's peace will transcend all our understanding, if we remember that his plans are plans to bless us and to prosper us, then we will be able to walk through any circumstances because God is for us. He designed us so that we wouldn't have to do these things on our own, so that we could overcome any situation with him on our side. So what I want to do now is to invite you to experience, to enter a bit of that joy, because when we feel that kind of joy, we should look for, how can I have more moments like this? And the Bible tells us that we can find that kind of joy when we enter a secret place. He tells us, go to a secret place. And that's the secret place we can bring all our worries, all our concerns, all of our joys. And God will meet with us. He promises to meet with us in whatever our circumstances is. So anytime we do enter that secret place, God will enter with us. So I would like to invite us, all of us, to enter that secret place together. And I want to make an invitation that you would enter with me. So if you, whatever you are right now, whatever you're struggling with, whatever is on your mind and in your heart right now, whether it's a moment of true joy, whether it's a moment that you remember what it was like when you first met with Jesus, or whether you're really, really struggling, I'm going to invite you to enter this secret place where Jesus is there with his open arms, ready, waiting for us. So yes, I invite you now to close your eyes. I'm going to put a very quiet song now. And if you feel comfortable, take a moment to close your eyes and take a deep breath and bare your heart before God. Pour every ounce of it at His feet. Once you are there, God welcomes you with His open arms. Be still for a moment in the secret place. Take off your shoulders everything that's weighing you down. Bend all your thoughts to Christ. Really feel His heart beating for you. Allow His peace to touch your spirit. God has an ultimate goal for you in the secret place. He wants to bring heaven and all His treasures to you. When reality of heaven touches our heart, we live differently. And that's me.
Wow, that was lovely. I feel very relaxed. As you can see, I've been playing my hair. It's gone out a bit bonkers. Thank you, Cleide. That was really, really, really beautiful.
You're very welcome. I hope I remember to just bring everything that I intended to. I won't know until later, but yeah, it was in my heart. So
thank you. Yes, like Rory, I'm in a bit of a stupor.
Yeah.
It's so, I feel so. Yes, kind of in a secret place, a peaceful place. Thank you for bringing the peace, and thank you for sharing some of your story.
Mm.
I'm getting emotional, but I don't want to get emotional. But thank you for sharing your story, because it's a very personal thing to do, and it takes people to. I think some of the things we have to do, or we have to recognize when you're in church and you have a faith, and you're certainly, hopefully, reaching people who don't, or who are curious about what it's about, is that kind of vulnerability, and that the sharing that you've given us has you've opened your heart, and I personally hope you are blessed tenfold for that, because it's a vulnerable place to be, but you may have just made a massive difference to many people's lives.
Yeah.
Because of the way you've presented and what you've said. So yeah, we know you, we love you, we know what you have to bring, and I pray that what you've done has affected and touched many other people, and to view faith and Christianity in maybe a different way, or change their mind to what they thought it was.
You're getting some lovely feedback, Cleide, and it's coming in as we're speaking, and people are truly blessed. But for me, I think the thing that inspired me most was that desire to take huge steps of faith, and sometimes it's really hard to put everything on God, and it ties quite well in with my closing for this morning. So bless you. It's weird how God has His hand on these things and they just line up, but yeah, that's just truly beautiful. Thank you, Cleide.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cleide. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye. Lots of love.
Bye. Wow. Good effort.
I know, it's just that, for those of you, if you're out there and you haven't, I don't know, if you have friends who aren't sure or what it's about, or, curious as to why you go to church or what you do there and what's it about, please share this live stream with them. It's obviously recorded and it's up there for people to view at a later date. But you just it's just a different way of doing it. And we don't obviously have a church building as such, but you don't have to have a church building. You just have to have the heart, and you have to have, you know, people who are passionate like Cleide to share their story and give their perspective on it. So again, if you have been touched, if you have, if it's affected you, and you you know, you want to journey with us a bit more, again, the contact details are below in the comments. We have I put a banner up before about prayer requests. If there's a prayer you'd like us to be, and let me find it while I'm talking to you, prayer request. We believe in the power of prayer, and we're very happy. This is an anonymous email. You don't have to give your name at all, or you can give your name. It'd be an honor for us to pray for you. But church is changing, and how we communicate and what we do is hopefully what we're trying to express this way. So join us again, journey with us again, and just, you know, investigate a bit further. Go to your secret place, find some peace. So I will leave you, Rory. Shall I leave you, Rory, now?
Stay there, because I need you to help. I'm
okay.
going to attempt something which is potentially very risky.
Very dangerous.
Going to lighten the mood slightly. I've been thinking a lot this week about trusting in God and believing that He has your back. And you know, it's really important when you've had something like we've had, where you feel quite violated, to know that God has your back. So I have a science experiment. This is one for the kids maybe, but I just have a couple of Bible verses I want to share with you guys first. So the first one is John 16:33, and it says, I have told you these things, that in me you may have peace. In the world you have trouble, but cheer up, I have overcome the world. And the second one is Deuteronomy 31:8. The Lord himself goes before you, and he will be with you. He will never forsake you. And do not be afraid, and do not be discouraged. Right. This is where I need you, Shelley. Okay. I am going to move my camera, and I need you to tell me whether you can see this.
Obviously, the varifocals need to be, I need to stare like this in a very unattractive manner. Yes, I can see it. Yes, I can.
Well, why don't you put me on full screen so everyone can see it?
I will. Hold on a second. Oh. I'm looking and doing at the same time. There we go. Okay.
Here we have an egg, a toilet roll, a chopping board, and a glass of water. Now, the glass of water, the egg represents us, and the glass of water represents God. And the chopping board and the toilet roll represent all the rubbish in our lives that take us away from God, and all of the problems in our life. Now, in theory, if this goes right, the egg will end up in the water. And I have been promised that it works every single time. So this is the moment of truth. I'm going to come around the other side. So breathe with me.
Yay!
So is that God always has your back. God will always catch you when you fall. And God loves you so much that he will protect you from breaking.
Yes! Oh, brilliant.
That's my dedication for today. Pretty simple, pretty easy. But I'm glad it worked, because that would have made a horrific mess. But yeah, there we go. So,
and I love the fact the glass had beer written on it.
Yeah, I hadn't even noticed that, but you know, very essential, very essential.
I think also part of this is God is fun. There's joy and fun in having a faith. You know, you gotta, it's just fun. It's to lift you and lift your spirit. So, egg plopping in beer glass.
Great success.
I know. You planned that and you sit there and you're like, oh, please, please, please,
I
please.
tried it like 3 times as well, and it worked every single time. Same aim. But I just
live broadcast to kind of go, ooh, but
Yeah.
no, it did work beautifully. I can see the relief. The relief on your face. Whew, yes, it worked. And I think there might be a few households now who will be running to the kitchen to get a glass, an egg, and a the parents are going to love you.
Yeah, well, it's kind of my purpose in life.
Exactly.
Everyone try it at home. It's a super easy thing to do. And from my evidence, it doesn't make a mess.
I'm going to have to watch it back and just watch your technique because I'm not ashamed to say I want to try it.
Yes, go on. So feedback, if anyone makes a real horrible mess, it's not my fault. You've done it wrong. But yeah, no, excellent. Love it.
Excellent, Rory.
There you go. Bless you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Thank you, Sheila.
Wonderful week.
And take care. And we will be praying for Mr. Tom. Hopefully he's Tom Kelly. But yeah, lots of prayer for everyone.
God bless everyone. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.